What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today we're playing a dangerous game of if I had $1,000 what I would spend at Sephora. I just watched my friend Ruby upload this tag onto her channel, so I will have her video linked down below if you guys are curious to see what her picks are, and you should definitely check her channel out. But I believe that this tag originated with Emily Noel. So in a fantasy world, if I had $1,000 that I wouldn't rather spend on like adult things like food and rent, and I was forced to spend $1,000 on makeup, this is what I would get from Sephora. And before we get started, I just have to say I'm definitely more of an Ulta girl than a Sephora girl. So where do you lie? Are you team Sephora or team Ulta? But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and screen record the items and share it, and we can go through it together. So I have 16 items in my cart with $990 total. Just thinking about actually buying all this like makes me have anxiety. I try to not get duplicates of items from brands. If I do have like more than one item from a brand, it's in a different category. And when I added this, I did it all like by category of makeup. So like eyeshadow, face products, all this stuff. But when I went back to my cart, it randomized it. So hang in there with me. The first item up in my cart is the Charlotte Tilbury, if I can say that correctly, Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Powder. I have heard a lot of good things about this powder. However, for me, and this is something that I'm just gonna say once, is basically every single item in my basket is something that I think is way too overpriced, way too expensive, and I would probably never actually spend the money on buying it. I think that's the fun in the tag. So yeah, $45 for a setting powder. That's like a solid setting powder. I'm just like, ugh, but I heard that it does magical things for your skin and your pores, and I would definitely be interested in trying it out. So next on my list, I've always wanted to purchase something from Melt ever since they started when they had their stacks. But again, I always thought it was a little on the expensive side for eyeshadow, so I was always hesitant on buying something. So again, the same thing with this. At $58 for an eyeshadow palette is a little on the pricey side. If you cut back about $10, that's more up my alley for what I'm willing to spend, especially on 10 eyeshadows. But the palette from them that stood out the most to me is their 420 eyeshadow palette. I'm really drawn to like the yellow toned greens that are in here. I think that they look absolutely stunning. The formulation of their palettes seem amazing. The shimmers seem amazing. The mattes just look like really creamy and buttery. So one day I will venture out and purchase something from them, but probably not anytime soon. So the next two items are from Hourglass. The first one we all are familiar with here on YouTube is their foundation stick. It was kind of a staple here on YouTube for a couple of years, and that is why it is in my basket. I am so curious about this to see how it works, if it really does live up to the hype. But again, the issue with this is that it's so much money for such little product. So that is probably why I will never actually try it. And here we have the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. Again, I've heard so many good things about this powder. It is supposed to be magical, make your face look completely airbrushed and flawless. It's $46, which is pretty on par with Laura Mercier, but I don't even like spending that much on this. I found this half off at Costco, by the way. So if you're at Costco, you might want to check out near like the pharmacy area, because they had a bunch of Laura Mercier products for half off. Just throwing that out there. Next up is an item by Fenty. I tried their foundation when it first came out. It didn't work for me because I'm very dry. But I definitely would like to try more from the brand. Again, I just can't bring myself to actually spending money on it. But this is their Butter Bronzer, or Butter Biscuit bronzer. The cream product, I've heard so many good things about this cream bronzer. Right now, I'm using up a cream contouring kit, so I don't have like reason to go out and buy it. I'm very, very intrigued by it though. So let me know if you have it. Like, does it live up to the hype of what everyone is giving it on YouTube? I would love to know. All right, up next is the second Charlotte Tilbury item that I put in here. This is the Hollywood Flawless Filter. Again, I've heard so many good things about this product. It's not necessarily a foundation. I feel like it gives you like barely any coverage, but it's just supposed to make your skin look amazing. This is probably the top product by Charlotte Tilbury if I were to splurge and get it. But again, for $44, I'm just like, ew, it's just like a glow product essentially, right? So that's kind of why I've never actually jumped in and bought it, but I'm still very, very interested and highly intrigued by it. Okay, so up next, I had to put Mcgrath Labs in here. Okay, like, this is like one of the ultimate dream items if I wasn't spending my own money on it and it just poof came out of thin air. I would be so happy. I could have put like all the palettes in here and spent like all my $1,000 on that. But this is the palette that intrigued me the most. That holographic looking shade is what immediately grabbed my attention. Also, the matte colors in here just look so lovely and nice. I really like that second color that's on the top. It's kind of like a blushy nude color. But again, $125 for eyeshadow. For 10 eyeshadows, $125. Like, why? Why? I mean, the packaging looks stunning. The shadows look stunning. I mean, it just looks so beautiful, but I could never, and I know that they're good quality, but I could just never, $125 on eyeshadow. Like, I would feel like I could never use it because I would feel bad using it. What are your thoughts on that? I'm also really interested and intrigued by Patrick Ta. I've seen a lot of people promoting the wax and it seems to work wonders. So if this is a product that you've tried, let me know in the comments, like, how have you gotten along with it? Like, does it work? Again, for $22, it's just not something I would want to spend $22 on, but I am highly intrigued by it. And up next, we have the Urban Decay Ultra Violet Eyeshadow Palette. This is one of the few items in my cart that I would actually purchase. Again, because of like where eyeshadow is now and where it was in the past, like if this was $10 less, I would totally buy it. But right now I'm trying to like reserve myself and not spend $50 on this palette. I know that that's a standard price for Urban Decay eyeshadows, but I want this so bad. I am obsessed with purple eyeshadows and I've been waiting, like the last 10 years, I've been waiting like, hello, for them to do a purple themed palette because their brand color is purple. So I've seen so many looks by people that receive this in PR and it looks stunning. I don't mind that it's all shimmer. That's what I love about Urban Decay. It's just like their shimmers are magic to me. Like their shimmers you can get away with putting in your crease because with a lot of the shimmers that are more neutral colored, the shimmer kind of like blends itself out, so it's not like super metallic in your crease. But their shimmers and dual chromes are like one of my favorite formulas ever. I think that this palette looks so nice. It does have like the neutral shades in there, which is nice, but I'm definitely intrigued by the second half of the palette, especially that middle shade that's kind of like a greenish white color. It looks so cool. Yeah, it was really hard for me to not cave and buy that eyeshadow palette when it released. It's like still in the back of my mind, like sitting there like saying, buy me, buy me, buy me. And I'm like, no. So yeah, I still am pretty diehard for Urban Decay. I know that they have like mixed opinions over the last couple of years, but they're my favorite brand. I have like a whole drawer full of palettes. I love their older palettes when they were about bright, bold colors. That's why they were my favorite brand in Sephora, the first brand I ever purchased from Sephora, because at the time, they were the only brands doing bright, bold colors. So I love Urban Decay. It's my dream to be on their PR list. So up next, this is again kind of like one of those classic products here on YouTube, which is the Milk Makeup Blur Stick. This was all the rage for such a long time. And it's just something I never got around to trying, so I threw the mini size in here for $18. So I'm like, I don't know about this, but it's supposed to make your pores disappear. I do have the Hydro Grip primer, and I can say I do recommend this. If you've been thinking about this primer, I do recommend it. It's really sticky and tacky. I enjoy it. So I'm still interested in the Blur Stick. Next up is the Jouer Cosmetics Blush Duo. So I was interested in these when they launched. I think it was like, what? It was probably close to 4 years ago or something. I remember they did this whole brand trip, and Nikki Tutorials features these a lot in her videos, and they just look so lovely. Like the formula looks like it's really great and nice. The pigmentation looks like it's there. But again, it's $30 for only 2 blushes, which I guess for a higher end brand isn't that bad. But back there I have my Moon Prism blush palette by Lunar Beauty, and that was 6 blushes. I believe it was the same price, $30. So it's like, I'd rather go with that, and I love the quality of those blushes. They're really, really nice. And speaking of Lunar Beauty, I was gonna add, I think it was the Moonspell palette, the one that they launched at Halloween. I was gonna add that to my cart, but they didn't have it available because Ruby featured it in her video, and I was like, I've been wanting that palette. So I was like, I need to throw that in there, but they only had Strawberry Dream available on their website here in America, so it would have been in here if they had it available. Up next is another palette that I would actually buy, and this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nervita Volume 4 because, again, I have all 3 sitting right back there. So for collection purposes, I'm like, I need it. But again, because I love pink and purple shadows, it's another reason why I need it. I love that it's softer tones. There's some more pastel colors in here, and we also have bright colors. Like that bright yellow, I am so intrigued by that color. And then the hot pink that's in the bottom right corner. It just, I really do have to speak on the first 3. The pigmentation is there. It's really blendable. They're easy to work with. And for $60, you are getting a lot of eyeshadows versus other brands charging $60 for 10 eyeshadows. You're getting so much more for your money. And again, like I said, the quality is really there. So if you're looking for some bright colored shadows, I highly suggest checking out the Norvina collection by Anastasia. Yeah, that's my little spiel on that. The last Patrick Ta product that I have in here, because I was so intrigued when he first launched with that glow spray, the body oil and the lip glosses, they look so nice. But at the time I was like, I can't personally be okay with splurging my money on this stuff. So here's a little kit of a body oil and a lip gloss for $35, which isn't a terrible deal. But yeah, it's 2 products in one that I was interested in trying, so I threw that in my cart. And of course, I couldn't, it's like Pat McGrath. I could not have Natasha Denona in here. So this is their Metropoliz eyeshadow palette. Again, $129. Somehow more expensive than Pat McGrath. Granted, you are getting more eyeshadows than Pat McGrath, but yeah, it's quite ridiculous. It's criminal that these eyeshadows are so much money. But out of all the palettes that they have, this is the one that stood out to me the most. If I were, again, to magically have this appear out of thin air, I think that you would get a really good use out of the neutrals. They look really lovely in this palette. I've seen them used. They look so creamy and buttery and nice. The shimmers are also nice. You do have those few pops of colors, like the 2 blues, and then you kind of have like a khaki green or an olive green in there. So that's why this one stood out for me. But yeah, $129, no thank you. And if I wasn't done being ridiculous with prices, up next is the infamous Tom Ford bronzer. Again, this is like a staple item on YouTube for like the last 10 years. I think that there's still people talking about this Tom Ford bronzer, probably because they're still using it up. I understand it's a lot of product, but $112 for a bronzer? Excuse me? Who does Tom Ford think he is charging $112 for a bronzer? There's no need. I love this. This is Physician Formula Butter Bronzer. I've had it for 5 years, still have it, still works, and it's like 15 bucks. Beautiful bronzer. But yeah, $112. I just had, like, that was just like one of the items that it's like, if I'm doing this wish list, that one had to go in there. And last but not least, I do have a Tatcha item. I tried to keep this mostly makeup. I didn't really want to include hair, cologne, or skincare, but I had to put this in here, which is the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream Moisturizer. Again, $68 for a moisturizer for like 2 ounces is a lot of money. However, I've heard nothing but wonderful things about that product. I'm so intrigued to try it, but I just can't bring myself to spending $68 on a moisturizer that I know I'm gonna run through so fast. It's so expensive to have to repurchase it. And it's like one of those things where it could be like, oh, maybe I'll, you know, try it out once, but I know I would like it and want to keep buying it. So I'm just not even letting myself to try it. So what are some of your wish list items from Sephora? Let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you've tried any of the items that I mentioned in my video, let me know how they are. I love hearing reviews from people that aren't necessarily receiving items in PR or are getting paid sponsorships for it. You know, those are good. They're nice. You get to learn a lot about the products that way. But I also like to hear from, I guess, the average consumer, and that's what I consider myself, the average consumer, how these products actually are and what they compare to the larger influencers on this platform speaking about them. So yeah, if you like this video, subscribe on your way out. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. My little spastic self, I'm like at the end of my caffeine high, so my words were getting a little bit jumbled, but we made it through the video, so that is a success. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye everyone.